Welcome back, everybody, to episode 2 of It's All Nonsense.
It's all nonsense. It's all
With
nonsense.
me, as usual, is my buddy Justin Kadish. I am Mark Bechtel. In for another round of stuff that is just nonsensical and idiotic and a little bit fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully, anyway.
We hope so.
So, first off, since our last episode, we've made a few set changes.
You like it?
We've added a table, a real table this time. A real table. And we've added some actual chairs. So we have studio chairs, a.k.a. office chairs.
That's right.
But they look a little bit classier than folding chairs.
Yeah.
So it's an upgrade.
It is.
And obviously I couldn't do this without the help of Justin, obviously. But just as importantly, my buddy Tom McDonald from J-Dog Junk Removal and Storage.
Thank you, Tom.
Helped us out with the table and chairs. He is a mensch. Love you, buddy. Now, we left off day after Christmas, I believe. And we were talking about how the holidays went. And we sort of had a roll into New Year's.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but the older I get, the more I want to just do absolutely nothing on New Year's Eve. So our New Year's Eve was very traditional, which is an early dinner at Outback Steakhouse. And then home for the rest of the evening. Usually how that works is we watch TV and I wake up Jen and the boys around 11:30 to remind them that it's New Year's Eve.
Right.
And then we watch the ball drop and the kids let off some little sparklers and fireworks and everyone's in bed and asleep by 12:30.
Nice.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like I love that because I'm not in my 20s anymore and I don't need to go out and party.
Right.
You know, I don't need to go out and drink and all that stuff. I like being home with my family and having a good time. But what really gets me every year is when I turn on the New Year's Eve celebration and watching Ryan Seacrest is the fact of how many flipping people there are in New York City in Times Square.
I don't get it.
And I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's not a bucket list thing for me.
It seems like a lot of nonsense.
Tons of nonsense. And the fact of the matter is these people have to get in line like 6 a.m. or whatever it is. And then they line up and then the police let them in and they have to wait there for 12 hours.
How many diapers do you think they go through?
Because once you're in, they don't let you back out.
You're in.
So that's
You're committed.
It's just like if I were to do that, it would just be a disaster upon disaster. And I just don't feel the need to put myself through that. Now, listen, if someone's going to give me a suite at the Marriott Marquis, that's different.
Right.
But I am not standing out in the freezing cold generally or rain or snow to watch the ball drop when I have a better view from my nice big television in my house and I have my own bathroom, I have my own snacks, and I can go to bed as soon as the thing's over if I want to.
Right.
You're not getting, listen, it's going to be hours until you get out of Times Square after the ball drops.
Yeah.
You know, the way the subways run, it's going to be a while.
I had a high school friend years ago. I don't know if he lived in New York or he was just there, but he had some sort of office holiday Christmas party. I don't know what it was, but in one of the high rises at Times Square. So he posted like pictures and a video from that location.
Yeah.
That was epic. That was really, really cool. If you're going to do it, I'd be up for that all day long. You can look out the window, see all the shenanigans happening. Comfort of your area there, but there's no way in hell you'd catch me on the ground.
I can absolutely get behind that 100%, but I can't get behind the standing on street level. No. Like even when I was in my 20s and I was doing stupid stuff all the time, I never had a desire to do that.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think, we did New Year's Eve in Philly when I was younger. And that was fun. I will say that was cool. We stayed overnight. And then we went down to Broad and watched the Mummers Parade. And
oh, sure, yeah,
stuff.
I've done that too.
We did that for several years, back in probably in the mid '90s or so. So that was a good time. But yeah, Times Square, I'll watch it for 10 minutes on TV. Like that's basically what we did. We went over our buddy Ryan and Aaron's house. Aaron is a childhood best friend for my wife. Ryan's a super good dude. I've known Ryan, God, now 15 years, I think. And so they had a bunch of people over, just house party. All the kids could kind of, get together and play. And we played this TV interactive game called Fibbage. You ever hear of that?
Never heard of it. No.
So Fibbage can get a little adult oriented. You can put in whatever name you want to put in, into the system. So you can imagine with teenagers and preteens what some of these names, showed up on the board as. And basically the goal of the game is to guess the correct answer, but lie so the opponents guess the lie is the correct answer. But you also want to be kind of funny and kind of make it like a little bit of an outlandish, answer. And the answers these kids give, it was just, I mean, thank God I'm like a teenager at heart, because if I was like a strict parent, I shaved this on purpose, I would have pulled it all out. It was pretty graphic, some of the stuff these kids were putting up there, but we had a really, really good time. A lot of laughs, no issues, thank goodness. And we watched, I think we turned on, Rockin' Eve, like with 5 minutes to spare, watched the ball drop, had a little champagne, and then we scooted and came home. And, do you guys do anything for New Year's Day?
Just the normal, hanging around the house, watching bowl games, and having traditional pork.
You guys do it here, or you go to the in-laws?
We generally we do it here. Okay. I'm not a cabbage guy, but pork definitely for sure. Is a must.
Does the family come over?
Sometimes. Yeah. At that point of the holiday season, it's kind of like
you're a little familyed out.
Everybody kind of needs their space at that point.
No, I get it.
Like, I totally get it, which is, it's absolutely doable. Yeah. But, the last thing I kind of want to do is travel for New Year's. But, that hasn't stopped me from, doing stupid shit when I travel, Yeah,
we went over Missy's parents' house, and her brothers and my niece and nephew and their fiance and my brother's girlfriend, they all came over, and my mother-in-law made a big, double crock pot full of pork and sauerkraut. And I was never a sauerkraut person growing up, either. But she does it with like apple cider or applesauce and that stuff. Yeah. So it's really sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I could just bottle that up and just put it on anything. So that was a pretty, we had a super relaxing morning. I think I made something for breakfast. We went over there, had a dinner type situation, came home, chilled out, and then I got freaking sick as all hell the next day.
Oh, geez.
I was like, my wife calls it the man flu. I think I slept a whopping maybe 2 hours that night. And I wasn't like I had a lot to drink. I barely had anything, none of that sort of stuff. I couldn't sleep. I had horrible heartburn, and I woke up at like 5 o'clock and went downstairs.
Jeez.
And I went down there just to kind of, sit in the recliner, kind of try and sleep a little bit elevated. I go down there. Jackson's laying on the couch. For those who don't know, Jackson is my 13-year-old son. He's built like I am. He's like a mini Shrek. And I said, Jackson, did you sleep down here all night? He said, no, I didn't feel good. So he's like, I came down here to get something to drink. And he's like, and I just didn't have the energy to make it upstairs. So he literally was sleeping on the couch for hours. I'm in the recliner just like feeling like absolute crap. I had the shivers and the sweats, and it ran through me for like a good 36 hours.
Brutal.
It was not fun. And then Mila was sick. She's had a fever. Like Missy's had this cough thing. Like post-holiday bug has just been awful. So thank God it's on its way out. But you guys will see me drinking on my my mug here. This is a little hot toddy. For those that know, which is pretty delicious. But yeah, I'm still coughing and got a sore throat a little bit, so it might sound a little off today. But I've got my medicine here, so we're good. But yeah, that was New Year's for us.
Oh man, that sounds like a horrible New Year's, quite honestly.
Well, New Year's Eve day we're fine, but yeah, the 2nd through the 4th, and of course the 4th was Missy's birthday.
That's right.
So, happy belated.
I heard she's 35 again.
39 again.
39 again.
39 again. Yeah. Right. Plus or minus a
couple.
Year or two. Yeah. But yeah, we just kept it low key.
Yeah.
She absolutely hates her birthday.
Who hates their birthday?
Well, so studies have shown, and I would completely understand, that the people that have birthdays in January get the absolute least amount of presents for their birthday. Because it's relativity to Christmas.
I never thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense.
So her birthday is 9 days after Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what do you want to give for Christmas? And then, we got to kind of split it up for your birthday.
Or get a combo gift.
Yeah. And, with the way things have been in the last couple of years, budget wasn't super high this year. So, she doesn't know this, but she'll find out where I'm going to take her out and, do a little day thing with her. But so, yeah, it was pretty low key. We had people, what was it, on the 5th, I guess it was? We had people over the house for, pizza and, all that sort of stuff. So we just kind of kept it low key again. But
well, that's not too bad then.
No, it wasn't bad, but she's still hacking up. I still have the occasional, but what is really nice about today, even though it's Tuesday? Where are the kids?
Finally back at school, perhaps?
Oh, they're back at school.
They got an extended reprieve yesterday.
They did.
From the snow.
What snow? That was horse cocky. I'm sorry. That was, maybe 2 inches of snow?
Yeah, I think it was more the timing of it that scared the school districts. Like, right. I get that. I totally get it. But it's funnier and funnier. That they'll call school before there's even a flake. But in this world, I get it. I understand, safety being paramount. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely the timing, because I was up, normal time, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and that's when it was starting to come down. But I found it hysterical. I think it was like 6 or 7 o'clock the previous evening is when we got the messages that says, hey, we've closed already. I'm like, what if this thing goes completely south and we get nothing out of this?
And it's a wasted day.
Yeah, and it's going to be taken out of the Easter break or at the end of the year or whatever the case was.
Well, the funny thing is, though, a lot of people don't realize, and obviously when I was a kid, I didn't give a rip. But it takes out of your spring break, and sometimes it can even take out of your summer vacation time.
Right, and that's what the kids are always like, oh, we want days off. I said, the more days off you have now, the longer you stay in school at the end of the year. No, they can't do that. I said, it's a law. You have to be in school so many days. Yeah. So you could be until, July if we have a bad snow season. So sorry about your luck. But yeah, it was pretty glorious to, and what the funny thing was, out of the entire Christmas break, yesterday was probably the calmest at our house.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the girls went out and played a little bit, and then they came in and were just watching TV. I was catching up on work, and it was pretty nuts. Jackson was upstairs, still not feeling well. Reese was out sledding with the friends or whatever. And it was pretty much it. So I was
both mine were out too for a while, but then when they get back in the house, they just start fighting as usual. And I was like, you guys just need to go back to school. Like, you've seen too much of each other the past 2 weeks.
That was definitively the girls, like 10,000% the girls. They could have gone back, the 27th, that was time for them. We've got multiple TVs in the house. I want to watch this. I want to go here. Yeah. Can I watch your phone? I said, go get your tablet. Go in the toy room and watch the TV in there. Like, why can't you guys go do that? I don't want to do that. I want to watch it here. I said, this is my television. This is my chair, my TV. I'm watching something. You go somewhere else.
Like it's almost like you need a vacation from your vacation.
Oh my, that's what
You
today.
know,
That's if that would have been today if
might-
we weren't filming, and I've got a meeting and we're actually going to the farm show tonight. So
Oh, nice. Farm show's awesome. Is that like, are you packing up the entire family minivan and heading there, or is this
the
just
Kadish
like
family Truckster Pacifica? Yeah, we'll be heading out to the.
make sure you grab the milkshakes?
That's a no brainer.
The first milkshake was sold at the opening day at 6:37 a.m.
Really?
I want to know who that dude or lady is that bought a milkshake at 6:37 a.m.
A diabetic.
Obviously. Someone that's got issues. I don't even know if I could drink a milkshake at 6:37 a.m. if I'm yet awake.
Yeah, I might need like a coffee milkshake with like a shot of espresso or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. You don't drink coffee. But
No.
yeah, that would be my thing.
But it's like something has to, wake you up. I mean, it's one of those things where it's, you're packing the van for probably an hour trip,
Yeah, 45 to an hour.
45 to an hour. And then it's nonstop, and then back in the van. Hopefully people sleep on the way back. I know I do.
It depends. I'm usually the driver, so there's not usually a whole lot of sleeping for me. But we're going literally right after school, so
That's awesome
to get out there. And we normally try and we'll either go on a weekend or like maybe get the kids out of school early, but it's just not with the holiday break being so
can't
close.
do that.
So we'll grin and bear it and be home at, whatever, 9-10 o'clock tonight, and they'll go right to bed. But yeah, they usually enjoy it pretty much.
Those are stuff that I always loved to do. Like when I was in high school, we would go and it was enjoyable. A, because it got you out of school.
Yeah.
But B, there's so much stuff there that's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I still remember when we first started going there. I mean, the girls weren't even born. Jackson was, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8, somewhere in that area. And he was enamored with the tractors. Any of those tractors, he was just all over. Why can't I drive it? I want to do this. And then as Reese got a little bit older, same thing. Like, you get in it, pretending he's steering and, all that sort of stuff. That was their absolute favorite thing, was to go in there and sit on the tractors. They wanted to get in every single one. I'm like, can we get to the food court, please?
Yeah.
Like, can we do that? The girls are all about the animals.
Yeah.
Like, hardcore. They could care. I don't want to say they could care less, but they, the main haul is not a big thing for them.
And it's kind of like a souped up version of the Ole Fair.
Yeah.
On steroids.
Right.
It's such a big event in Pennsylvania, has been forever, that just the amount of people that go to this every single day that it's open is mind-boggling.
And see, I didn't know anything about it until I moved here, and I don't think we didn't even go until we had kids. So it's been, I mean, not even 10 years we've probably been going to it. Not even close, because Jackson's only 13. But yeah, I never went to it or did anything like that when I was growing up.
Yeah,
like that wasn't our thing. The auto show was my dad and I.
The Philadelphia Auto Show.
Yeah.
I used to go there every year because my sister used to work for dealerships, and she would get free passes.
Oh yeah,
so
that's the only way to go.
We got to go every year, and it was always a blast. And it was always we always had a great time going. It was pre-kids.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much just, Jen and I, my dad, and my sister, and it was really a cool time.
It's not as good as it used to be. Not even close. Yeah, it's not even like, Reese didn't want to go last year. Missy, it's never really been her thing. We just kind of do it as a family. So and my dad used to go with us all the time. My dad has back problems and stuff now, so he can't make the trip anymore. But I took Jackson last year, just him and I, on I think it was a Saturday or something like that. I actually won tickets from a raffle from a car group in Malvern. Some guy was giving them away, and I won that. So we got the tickets, and we drove in, and we I forget, I can't remember if we got lunch first or we went to the show first. In any event, it took us longer to get our food, find a seat in the Reading Terminal Market, and eat lunch than the amount of time we spent walking around the auto show.
Seriously?
I'm not even kidding.
Why? Why is that?
Because there were probably a good 10 manufacturers that weren't even there, like Mercedes, Cadillac.
Why is that, do you think?
I mean, when I worked in the auto industry, I worked for a Dodge dealership in Delaware County, and we were the dealership actually responsible for supplying Dodge vehicles.
Okay.
And so you're putting your inventory essentially in the show.
Right.
Now you get an incentive from the corporation,
yeah.
To do it. But to be very blunt, I mean, people treat these cars like trash. I mean, these cars came back. We would have to do pre and post inspections on these cars, scratches, tears, things missing,
Really?
thousands of dollars in damages to these cars. So that's why a lot of these people are like hawking over you, especially on some of these nicer cars,
Right.
because people just don't care. And the goal for the dealership is to obviously get one or two customers or something like that from them being there and be like, oh, you're part of this auto dealership, whatever the case is. Now with the way the internet is, I mean, it's completely changed the buying experience for cars in general. So I don't think people they don't really care about where they're buying it. They want the best deal. Yeah, that's the priority. So they generally just don't, care about any of that stuff. They'll go online, they'll do their research, and then they'll either go contact their salesman that they've been using for 10 years at some other place, or, they'll just put a query in online and figure it out from there. So, I mean, not last year, but the last few years, I mean, they had test drives. Like,
really,
you could get in a modified Jeep, or not even, I don't even say modified. It was a stock Jeep, like Wranglers, like the off-road Rubicon editions and stuff. And they had like an off-road simulation course there.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
It was really, really cool. It was totally free, put on by Chrysler, Jeep, whatever. And you could just go and, get in these things and drive around. And they don't have it anymore. They've replaced about half of the main hall with electrified vehicle test drive.
Really?
Yeah, because there's no emissions. They can just go around and go around and go around. It's the most boring freaking thing. I mean, you've really got to be like an EV nut to do it. Yeah, to be like, ooh, this is really cool, because and it's not Teslas. I mean, it's like,
well, everybody's got an EV now.
A Nissan Leaf, or something to those regards. Electric Fords or whatever. And we looked around. I don't even think Dodge or Chrysler was there last year, because they don't have any product.
Yeah,
like they're going through this whole refresh. Ram might have been there, but there was a whole bunch of manufacturers that just didn't show up. So Jackson and I were like,
this is it.
Jesus, like, I don't even know if we're going to come back next year. So I'm waiting for people to go and post up and
see
the review in comparison to last year, because if it's anything like last year, and I always look forward to going. Yeah. But no.
I remember when I used to go. I mean, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic.
I loved it. My dad and I, we grew up going to it. My dad's a Philly native guy. Yeah. So going to the city was nothing for him. And then as I got a little bit older, my buddies, teenagers, late teens, we would take a day trip down there, go eat. It was always a really
good day out of it.
Yeah. I mean, we would be down there for hours, but not last year. So we'll see.
Well, so we'll stay on topic. However, I want to make sure that, we're not here for hours boring the public. And I don't have my timer in front of me because I effed up. Where are we at on time?
2:04.
2:04. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So we can still
we can knock another
we can knock some stuff out here.
We can talk about some more nonsense.
So I want, staying in the car front, and I saw this weeks ago, and it really kind of excited me, because, well, it did excite me, but it also worries me a little bit. So the industry in recent years has been very gung-ho on bringing back cool cars.
Right.
But then when they bring them back, they look like shit.
Yeah, they don't have the same design.
They get rid of what makes it cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was initially worried when Ford came out with the Bronco. I was like, oh, this is going to be, oh. And then when I saw the Bronco Sport, I was like, no.
That's not a real Bronco.
This is not good. But when I saw them bring out the full-size Broncos, those are pretty sweet.
Right.
They're pretty cool. That lead me into finding out and watching on the internet that they are bringing back the Scout.
Oh.
And I saw pictures.
Yeah.
It looks sick.
Really?
It looks so cool.
Huh.
Yes. It looks amazing.
I did not know that.
Now, I don't believe internet can research this for me.
Right.
But I don't believe that it's tied to international anymore.
Okay.
I don't know who's making it. But I think they bought the naming rights and the tags and all that stuff.
Kind of like what DeLorean was going through. Yeah.
Right. So, but I saw the actual pictures of it. It looks pretty cool.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, that would be.
Did they say what the power plant was yet? Or no?
Like I didn't get to read any specifics on it, but it is coming.
Okay.
And from what the drawings look like and the actual pictures of, like, it's not on full production yet, but what the vehicle that came off was looking really, really cool. I was like, that's kind of a neat thing to bring back. And if the pictures are what it is, I'm all for it.
Right.
Like I hate it when like Chevy, it's like, we're bringing back the Blazer.
Oh, that was such trash. And it's not a bad looking car, but it's not a Blazer.
No, it's not.
Give me a K2. Like that's what everybody wanted.
So when I was in high school, my brother-in-law had a Blazer, and I loved borrowing that thing because it was a traditional Blazer. You know what I mean? He let me drive it once or twice. It was awesome. And everybody has in their mind what a Blazer is. That was not a Blazer.
No.
It looks more like my wife's Jeep Compass.
Oh yeah.
Than a Blazer.
Without a doubt.
Nothing wrong with the Jeep Compass. I'm just saying, if you're going to call it a Blazer, it better be a Blazer.
Well, that was like when the new quote unquote GTO came out, back in the early 2000s. Great car, not bad to look at, not super well styled, but not bad to look at.
Right.
But it wasn't a GTO. I mean, there was nothing GTO about it.
Same thing with the Thunderbird.
Oh, yeah. But at least the Thunderbird had some good retro style to it.
Yeah.
Like that one was pretty well retro style.
Was it remember the SSR?
Jesus God. You want to talk about nonsense. That thing, like, I mean, it was interesting because it was a V8 rear wheel drive convertible truck.
Yeah. I thought it was really unique when it came out. I was like, that's kind of wild.
It is wild, but it was, I mean, the nostalgia wore off about after a year or
Once people realized.
Yeah, and it was an automatic,
Yeah. You see, you can't have a car like that. Listen, rule of thumb is if you're going to bring back a car with a V8, it better be a manual transmission.
Yeah.
Or at least give me the option of having a manual transmission. I remember how hard it was to get a manual transmission car. Like I only drove stick shift up until, right around the time mid 2004, 2005.
Right.
I've only ever driven manual transmission. But then it got harder and harder to get them.
Find them, yeah.
And, it was just a pain in the butt. And so I always tried to have one up until I had kids. Then once I had kids, and you had that going on in the back seat, like
there's one less clutch pedal.
Right. The one less thing I could worry about was, missing a gear.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's sort of when I went to it. And I still remember it was maybe 2004, 2005. I was looking for a new car, and I'm very picky, and it takes me a while. And so I think it was probably around 2006, 2007. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to break down and I'm going to get a Camry Sport. I needed something reliable. I needed something, but I went over to the dealership it's like, this is what I'm looking for.
Right.
He's like, all right, cool. This is what we have in the lot. Awesome. So I looked at it. I was like, I love all these features on this one.
Right.
Except I want it in a manual transmission.
No.
And the guy looked at me like I had 3 heads. He's like, a what? I was like, a manual transmission. I was like, stick shift. And he was like, oh, let me see if we have some. And he came back a couple minutes later. He's like, we don't have any on the lot in stick. I was like, that's okay. He's like, you can order me one. He's like, oh, you sure you don't want to? It's like, no, I want a stick shift. Mm-hmm. He's like, all right, so you want the entire sport package? I was like, yeah, exactly like this with the sunroof, the whole deal, except I want it manual transmission. Oh, okay. He's like, does it matter what color? I was like, I'll make it easy on you. Red, black, or white. I was like, that should help you out. It's not a crazy color. It took him 2 weeks. 2 weeks. He calls him back 2 weeks later. He's like, good news. He's like, we found exactly what you're looking for. It's red and manual transmission. It's like, it took you 2 weeks? He's like, yes. I was like, where did you find it? He's like, South Carolina. I'm like, oh my.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want it? I was like, yeah. He's like, bring it up. I want it. And it took a few days and I ended up getting it. But I knew after that point, getting anything in a manual transmission was going to be next to impossible. Mm-hmm. And if you look, they have a lot of these have the option to do that, but they don't tell you because it's just such a pain.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go and, do a special order and this, that, and the other thing. And some dealerships, some manufacturers just flat out
there's not even available. Yeah.
Do it. They don't do it. I had a guy one time when I was looking for a manual transmission. He's like, yeah, we have that one. Come on in and take a test drive.
Right.
And I get in it and it's a sport shifter. I was like, this is not a manual transmission.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, this is, I was like, no. Mm-hmm. I was like, do you see a clutch?
Yeah, right.
If you don't see a clutch, it's not a manual transmission.
Right, exactly.
And I'll be honest, I thank my parents to this day. Because they only drove manual transmissions. And when I had to learn how to drive, I had to learn a new manual transmission. I had to take my tests in the manual transmission. I fell in love with manual transmission. And so having that skill, and nowadays it's a skill.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because there's so many people that don't know.
It's a theft deterrent device is what it is.
100%.
Yep.
And listen, I would love to get a vehicle with manual transmission now that my kids are older, but just can't find. You have to look long and hard. Like if you want to find a classic car or something older, obviously, yeah. But if you're looking for a new car in manual transmission, good luck. Well, good luck to you.
I remember this is back when I was still working in the automotive field. I had a Ram 2500 Mega Cab 08. I bought brand new.
That's a lot of truck.
It was I love that truck. But back in the 2008, 2007 timeline, whatever it was, when diesel, it was diesel, and diesel price was anywhere between $4.50 and $5 a gallon.
Right.
And I was commuting from here down to Chester Springs 5-6 days a week, all turnpike, basically.
That's a lot of mileage.
So even though the truck was pretty fuel efficient for a big truck, it was still, if I hit 20 miles a gallon, that was doing good. So I was.
But even for the size of that truck, that's not bad.
It wasn't bad. It really wasn't. That was after a lot of work got put into that thing. We'll say that. But I was commuting down there, and I was so long story short, I had a car, it got stolen, so I looked for another vehicle, and at this point, I had left Chester Springs, and I was working in Limerick at the Nissan dealer on 422 there. So I was looking for a fuel efficient vehicle to commute with. So it was back in 2011. I won't forget it because I was looking for a 4-cylinder stick shift. I'm like, the only way I'm getting a 4-cylinder is if I can get a stick shift because the power is going to be so anemic,
Yeah.
So I actually was able to locate, and I had to look all around for a brand new Hyundai Elantra GLS. Like I had a couple options, but it had a 6-speed stick shift in
A
it.
Hyundai with a 6-speed.
Yeah, it was a 6-speed manual, and I got it from, I think it was it Fred Beans in Doylestown.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was like a good hour 15
Yeah, it's
from
a little
the house. But I got out there. It was like, I think it was silver, black. I think it was black actually. And that was a good little commuter car. It had a similar setup to kind of like the Honda's VTEC system, where it kind of gave you extra power as the revs went up. So it was it was a fun little car to just throw around, but it was only because it was a stick shift. If it was an automatic, I would have hated my life. But that's, kind of leads me into my truck, my SRT 10. I mean, the first year for that in 04, it was only a stick shift. It was a Viper 6-speed, that was modified for the truck. And that was like one of the big selling points for me was a sport truck, rear wheel drive with a stick. And like, that's such a rare combination,
Right.
that it was so appealing to me. So Mike Kachavik, I said I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep doing this. So thank you so much for working on Copperhead. We will get situated, hopefully very soon. I appreciate you. We hope to have that back so we can enjoy some nonsensical shenanigans in that. But yeah, I miss that truck so much. It's been almost a year since I've almost even seen it.
It's been a long time. A, yes, it's a cool truck. B, it makes me poop my pants.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of horsepower.
It's a ton of horsepower.
In a very ultimately light vehicle to have that much horsepower.
Yeah, 5,200 pounds with 900 plus horsepower is.
So this comes to the question, I think, since we're on the topic. We have both probably owned, what, 10, 15 plus cars in our lifetime.
Easy.
So the question is this, and I will follow up with my answer. In your lifetime, what is the favorite vehicle you've ever owned for any particular reason?
Sure.
Whether it be, hey, I'm a cool minivan guy now, or I love driving 4-cylinders. Like, what is your favorite car you've ever owned, and the reason why?
That's a my kids have asked me that question, and I don't want to go too long with this because I want to get you your answer before we wrap up, at least this episode, and we can come back and revisit if you want. But I've had some really cool stuff. I mean, I've had modified 4-cylinder turbos that made 400 plus horsepower. I've had a Mercedes AMG that was supercharged that made 600 plus horsepower. I've got my Viper truck that makes 900 horsepower. I mean, my Mega Cab was an amazing truck before I started getting ready to blow the transmission up. 1,000 plus foot-pounds of torque. Man, that's tough. It's probably, I'm going to give the edge to the Viper truck just because of the kind of the rarity. Less than 5,000 were ever made between 3 years. V10 rear wheel drive, stick shift, 2-door truck. Pretty niche-y type vehicle.
Right.
And I've done a lot of work to it. I've really made that truck my own. It's very much even still a work in progress. So I'm going to give the edge to that just because I've really been able to do what I wanted to it.
Makes sense.
The close second would be my 04 Mercedes CL55 AMG. That car, no B-pillars,
right.
Windowless door frame. Just you could open that thing up. It was like a convertible without having the top go down, which was really neat. V8, 600 horsepower. It sounded amazing. And if you want, that thing was so fast.
Yeah.
It was built to be an Autobahn missile. That's what it really was built for.
Well, sure, yeah.
And it just looked so good. It was so much you felt classy driving around. And then if somebody wanted to be a jerk, you could blow their doors off. Like, it was such a great car.
And you could fit in there okay?
I fit in there perfect. The only reason I got rid of it is we had the boys, and it was a tight squeeze having the boys in the back seat, but I could make it work for short trips, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Because the interior was in amazing condition. It was really well taken care of. The exterior needed a little love, but it was good driving around with them. It was okay. When we had Mila, is when it's like, okay, literally you can't fit 3 kids in this car.
Well, sure, yeah.
Especially with my wife. So the initial thought was, I think we had a Durango at the time. I was like, if we need to go somewhere, we'll take the Durango. If I need to stay home, I'll keep the Durango here. You take the Mercedes, that sort of deal. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, if it's a crappy day out, something happens, I don't need my wife driving a 600 horsepower performance sedan. And I literally had to tell her, I'm like, don't stomp the throttle. Don't do it. Like, it will freak you out.
Yeah.
Because she is not a car person at all. So it got me a little nervous for her.
I understand. Yeah.
So I said, you know what? It was just time to trade that. So I ended up getting an F-150 Super Crew, 2013. 11, I don't know, whatever year was the first year for the EcoBoost setup. And it was a nice truck. I mean, it was a Lariat. It had leather, heated seats, air conditioned seats. It was a 1-owner truck or 2-owner truck. It was super well taken care of. So yeah, not that that wasn't my favorite, but yeah, it was pretty close between the two.
I see. If I were to guess, I was going to guess the Mega Cab or the Mercedes. Both of those I knew about, but I was leaning Mega Cab.
The Mega Cab was pretty unique. I mean, it was lifted wheels, tires, exhaust, custom lighting, air horns. You know, I mean, it was like our neighbors, down the street here, but it was even longer. If diesel hadn't done, the price of diesel hadn't done what it did, I would have kept that truck. Yeah. I mean, I literally bought it so we could have a family, because you could fit 3 car seats facing backwards in the back seat.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
And I didn't have to move my seat, and I'm 6'3". So it was like, we can have triplets and it would be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ultimately the cost of fuel. So when I did the math, when I bought another car, it cost me less to finance a vehicle, pay for the insurance, and pay for the fuel for the second vehicle than it did to pay for the fuel for the Mega Cab for a month.
Amazing. That's amazing.
And it was by like $100 to $200 a month. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Oh my gosh.
But
well, for me, it's kind of funny because I've had so many vehicles through the years for so many different reasons. And I really thought about it the other day, and it really wasn't even close, to be perfectly honest.
Really?
My favorite car I've ever owned was the second car I've ever owned.
Really?
Which was a 1988 Saab 9000 turbo, 5-speed.
Saab.
Fully loaded, granite gray, leather interior, and get this, it had a car phone.
What year was this?
1988.
Oh my God.
It had a car phone. And I got it from my Uncle Jay, who was the sales manager for Clue Strawbridge down in Fraser on the main line, which was a Saab and Boston Whaler boat dealership.
Oh, okay.
And I went down and I test drove it. And the biggest thing I took from test driving this thing was the matter of fact of how much the turbocharger sucked you back in your seat when you hit a certain RPMs.
Old school.
Because this was actually when Saab was Saab, before GM took over. And the turbochargers in these things were the size of my head. They were massive. And when that thing spooled up and released, like, it sucked you back into your seat.
Oh, yeah.
And it was amazing. Like, it was such a fun car to drive. Had the spoiler, the whole deal. The only thing was My Uncle Jay gave me a good deal on it. However, it came with a taillight warranty. Which was my Uncle Jay said, the taillight warranty is once I don't see the taillights, it's not under warranty anymore.
Right.
But thanks. But that was the most fun I've had driving a car. And I think too was also because the time of my life, I was in my late teens, early 20s. Oh,
yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And I was racing people, you know, and that car was deceptively fast.
Right.
It didn't look super fast, but it was fast.
It was quick for the late 80s.
Absolutely it was. It was the height of speed and luxury back in the late 80s. And that was my favorite for sure. If I had to come up with a runner-up, it was definitely my 2015 Bighorn.
Oh, yeah.
Love that car to death.
That was nice.
That was a fantastic vehicle. But it mainly the Saab, just because of how fun it was and because of the memories it brings back,
right?
Quite honestly. So other than that, I think this is probably a good wrap point. And there are some topics we didn't get to, but I think what we can do is we'll cover that, you know, in the next following episodes.
Episode 3, what's the title going to be?
God, so much pressure.
I know.
I don't even know. We'll have to come up with something that makes us sound clever.
Yeah.
But I think, like previous episode number 1, we're going to end on a quote.
Sure.
And I was thinking about it, and the first quote, if those of you who did not get it, was from the movie and musical Grease. My sister gave me a shout out.
Right, she did.
That she did. So I'm going to give another quote from another hysterical movie from my teenage years. And the quote is this: I thought I had mono for an entire year. It turns out I was just really bored. Give us a shout out if you know the movie and you know the character that said it.
So that sounded like a bunch of nonsense to me.
That's what she said.
Right. So, well, we appreciate you guys listening and watching. Hopefully you enjoy our new setup. We're always looking for new ideas to kind of improve things. Again, any and all suggestions, opinions is welcome. Like, honestly, we want the feedback, good and bad. So
no, just good.
He's full of shit. It's all nonsense 28@gmail. Hit me up. We're still booking guests, and like we said, our buddy Tom is going to be our first one. We cannot wait for Tom. We will have to have a
it might have to be
possible M rating on that.
It will be, listen, it will be an M rating, and it will go long. But Tom is a retired NYPD police detective.
Yep.
So that's all I got to say.
Yeah.
So, stories upon stories upon stories, and they're all hysterical.
Lots of nonsense.
Absolutely.
Lots of nonsense. So on that note, I think we're going to break it out, and we will see you guys in a week or so.
You forgot something.
What did I forget?
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. That's why you're here. Good call.
Thanks.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon. We're out.
Take care.
Have a good one.